Hi, welcome to This Week in Data, your guide to modern data culture brought to you by Pragmatic Works. I'm Adam Jorgensen.
And I'm Devin Knight. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can build your own personal brand. Really cool topic.
Yeah.
Especially if you're interested in kind of building out and making yourself known for something. We're going to give you some tips, talk about a higher level of some things you should be thinking about, and then even look at some specific tasks that you can kind of put on your checklist of things to do.
Oh, sounds good.
So before we start that, though, we're going to start with a couple news headlines, always a favorite topic. So the first one I have for you, it comes from the world of Samsung, which just can't seem to catch a break.
It's on fire.
Yeah, it's literally on fire. They can't catch a break, or maybe their customers can't catch a break. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
But they, obviously you probably know about the Note 7 recall. Millions and millions of phones having to be recalled.
Right.
If you've flown on a plane recently, you probably heard that you're not allowed to have them on the plane.
They announced it on our flight.
Yep.
Yep.
But they're having some more problems, this time in the washing machine arena. Yep. And the headline I caught was a little deceiving. I think they were overly trying to tie it to the phone thing, because they said that these washing machines are exploding, but then they listed off what's happening, and it never mentions exploding at all. So I think they're trying to make a little bit of a tie that might not be there. But they're having some problems. They're having to recall 2.8 million, nearly 3 million washing machines because of several incidents around injuries with washing machines. So anything from, and it's funny because they've received nine reported injuries, and I would consider that kind of a low number, but I don't know.
Yeah, out of 2.8 million, 9. I mean, they're injuries, not explosions.
Right. So there's things like broken jaws, injured shoulders, fall-related. But the point is, just I feel for Samsung a little bit.
Yeah.
And that it seems like kind of things are piling on right now.
I feel like there might be something else going on there. I'm not really sure how. I mean, like if I slip in front of my washing machine and crack my jaw, I don't really think that's Samsung's fault.
Probably
the exploding phone, that's their fault, right?
Yes.
But this is...
Yes.
I don't know. That's a little. I think that's a little sketchy.
Probably got a lot more headline just because of the phone thing.
Right.
So the next one I have for you guys is Microsoft is offering a data science virtual machine test drive.
Oh, nice.
So users are basically going to be able to use prepackaged data science themed Azure virtual machines to kind of quickly spin up on some prepaid development. You don't have to pay anything.
Nice.
You never have to enter a credit card in. You can just simply boot up an Azure virtual machine that has these components already installed and kind of take a test drive of what Microsoft is doing around data science.
And it's got everything kind of packaged in one VM.
Exactly.
So you just spin it up, get going, check it out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just within a few clicks, you're ready to go and can get started and test it out.
That's awesome.
So if you want to follow the links that we usually post below our blog or below the video link, you'll be able to see where you can go to learn more about that.
Fantastic.
And then the last one I have is kind of a fun one. I wanted to get something very data-centric here. This one's around IoT for cows. Okay, are you ready for this? I think you have an interesting story around this as well. You might.
I might. If I know where you're going, I might have a story about this.
All right. So what I have for you is, from this article, 4 ways that farmers are collecting and analyzing data from their cattle. Okay? So they're using IoT devices to be able to collect this information about their cattle. So
okay, hit me.
Here's the 4 things. Number 1 is cattle movement.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of GPS device of some kind.
Lots of animals roaming.
Yeah, and so the goal there is, obviously it's to prevent theft and things like that, know where the cows are. Apparently theft is a big problem with cattle, so be aware of that.
I mean, it's not hard to steal one if you can just get it to get on a trailer.
Yeah.
Carrying it out is a little hard.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
So we have cattle low-jack.
Yeah, cattle low-jacking is problem 1 they're trying to solve here. Fertility was actually an interesting thing. So this is something I didn't know about cows. I
think that's probably good.
It's good that I didn't know.
Right.
But apparently cows are only fertile about 8 hours a month.
Okay.
That's interesting that it's that little amount of time. So they have devices now to be able to actually determine and monitor
to find the window.
Find the window somehow.
So they can make more cows.
It's called the Moo Monitor. Is it? Yeah, that is actually the device called Moo Monitor.
Okay.
To be able to track and determine those times.
I would have called it the Moo Maker.
I like that too.
See?
I kind of prefer your name. Number 3 is to track behavior. So this is there's a neck-mounted device here to track activities of like eating behavior and health issues and things like that.
Okay, that makes sense. So if they're not eating,
right.
if they're not moving enough, those kinds of things. That makes sense.
And then the 4th way is around lactation or milking cows. Okay, and so this is interesting. It's a robotic device. You think about milking a cow. You don't. In my head, I picture a farmer kind of going there and doing it, but it's all robotic. I think
that works if you have like a couple cows.
Yeah.
I think for a big shop, they have like 50,000 cows.
I think I'm probably thinking of like a Curious George episode I saw at some point, something like that.
Yeah. We don't get a lot of exposure to cow milking, right?
But it's all done through robots now. And one of the things that they're doing now to increase milk production is allowing the cows to choose when they get milked.
Interesting.
So what they would do is if they, when they would like to be milked, they're getting longer sessions of milking.
Okay.
And more frequent too, because they're doing it when they want to do it as opposed to when they don't want to do it. Now, how do they know? How does the robot know when the cows want to do it and don't want to do it? I don't know. But that's
science.
Yeah. Boom. Science.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes. Cow intelligence.
Facial recognition for cows.
Sad face versus happy face.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, that's kind of that story.
So there's everybody sort of laughs about this, but a couple of years ago, Joseph Soros from Microsoft actually did a keynote talking about agriculture and IoT and how it's really changing the landscape, no pun intended, sort of around the world for a lot of different things. But it's an area that gets a lot of study. I mean, when my wife was in grad school, one of the things that she studied in some of her biology degrees was the amount of, the cows produce methane, right, through a process. And, but we have so many cows, they produce a lot of methane.
Yeah.
And so based on concentrations of cows, they were actually changing the atmosphere where they were. And sometimes that's good and sometimes it's bad. And so they were doing all these kinds of studies around that. And I'm sure there's probably a monitor for that too, although I don't know how they install it.
No. Okay.
Really? After robot milkers?
Hey, I said it with a straight face.
I know.
All right, so let's move on to
I'm glad we made it through that.
Yeah. Let's move on out of news onto our main topic today, which is around building your personal brand, or if you look at my notes, your personal Brad.
Yes. I think everyone should have a series of Brads.
Yes, in your own personal one.
We both know a series of Brads.
Yes.
And they're all great Brads.
Yeah, I like that I put that in my notes. But we're going to go with brand instead today.
Today we're talking about brands.
Let's talk about brands.
We'll do another episode and interview all the Brads.
So
how do you get started with your personal brand?
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. So I like to almost take a step back, and you probably have seen some presentations on like starting with a why and things like that.
Yeah.
You should do the same thing with this.
Yeah.
Why do you want to build your personal brand? What's your goal? What is it that you're trying to have as an end result of this? Is it that you want to start your own company at some point, or you're trying to bring in customers to your existing company, or whatever it is? You need to start with a why. Why am I doing this? What's the reason why you want to build your own brand? And then what's the goal? At the end of that process, what's the goal? And make it something tangible, not just something that I want people to know me.
Right.
It should be...
I like being popular.
Yeah, I like being popular.
Right. You should have an end goal for sure.
Right. It might be something more like I want to build my brand so that customers will seek me out when they need help.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It makes more sense if you think that way.
Right. So, if we're doing that, what are some of the things we have to think about when we try to get started? So we know what our end goal is.
Right.
But we got to get started. I mean, where do we start?
Yeah, so think bigger picture. You can certainly jump straight into the different tasks that you can do, and we'll talk about those here in a second. But bigger picture first, think about things like being consistent.
Okay, that's good.
Consistency is huge when it comes to building your brand. Huge.
You
can't be super active for 3 months and then go dormant for 9 months.
No.
You can't go bear on the bear hibernation at all. That won't work.
You can't.
You have to have a pretty regular cadence, whether it's start off with once a month or something, posting something, or commit yourself to even this might seem silly, but commit yourself to one post on social media a day or something like that, or one blog post a month, and then kind of work your way to more than that if you needed to.
And so find a level that you can be consistent with.
Right.
And just start there. Don't try to overdo it.
Yep, absolutely.
Good. I think that's great advice.
Networking. Networking is another big piece. So whether it's social media networking or going to things like meetups, but being involved in getting to know other people that are in the industry that you're trying to brand yourself in is huge. So whether that may mean going to local user groups that you have, local meetups of some kind. It may be, like we said, just being active on social media. And when you're active on social media, not just making it a one-way street where you're broadcasting things, but actually interacting with people. If you see someone post something that you are trying to be actively known for, reply back to them and have a conversation about it.
Yeah, and then maybe look for some of the influencers that are already in that space.
Right.
And look for what they're posting and try to use that, like you said, to spark a conversation.
Yeah. Next one I have for you is make your brand clear. Okay, so don't try and be known as the VMware expert and the Microsoft Access expert.
Correct.
Or Outlook MVP or something like that. Focus your brand in some way. Now you can certainly dabble in multiple things, but at least to start off with, we were talking about things to start thinking about. Focus in on one area. You can definitely have kind of mixed messages if you're posting things on, like I said, VMware and Microsoft Access. So focus in on one of those things. If you're already the expert, great. Now brand yourself as an expert. And just try not to mix messages too much.
I think the thing that goes along with that too, though, is, you need to think about your brand like a product, right? You're going to create a product for a market. If you're trying to grow influence in that market with your brand, who's the audience that you're going after, right? Who are you trying to help? What is that community of people? Are they SQL developers, like you said? Are they VMware, admins or architects? Are they Outlook developers, right? Whoever it is, go understand what those people need. Go to the meetups, go get online, figure out, one of the best ways to begin thinking about building your brand is by helping other people and solving problems with them and for them.
Absolutely.
And when you think about keeping your brand clear, keep focused on certain types of problems. And the more consistently you provide good information, help, collaboration around solving things and helping people understand concepts better, they're going to start to gravitate towards your brand, and that's going to help you begin to get traction. So in order to do that, though, what are some of the tasks that we need to do to get there?
Yeah, there's a lot, and I'm going to list a couple here, but there's certainly a lot, and a lot of this stuff can be automated even now. And that's what I do a lot, is I automate a lot of these processes. Some of the things you can't automate, though, are things like blogging. So if you're not already blogging, it's time to take a step into it.
That's a good place to start.
Yeah, put your foot in the door with blogging. We talked about committing yourself to some kind of consistency or cadence. Do once a month. Do every other month. If you find some cadence that realistically will work in your life in the time that you have, and stick to it. And then once you are comfortable with that, start to increase the cadence. So for my own personal blog, I blog 2 to 3 times a week now, and that's.
But you didn't start there.
I did not start that way. No, if you look at my blog even 6 months ago, a year ago, it was every other month and things like that. So it's definitely something you have to build up to for sure. Another thing you can do is write a book. There's opportunities out there to write books, and you might take a step back and think, oh no, I'm not ready to do that. I can't do that. Sure you are. You can research.
They let us do it.
They let us do it. Yeah.
You can do it.
I've written 6 books. How is that possible? You've written like 9 or 10. It's how is that even possible that we're able to write those books? But you can do that, and people actually, a lot of times, studies have shown that people trust authors more than they do even doctors in some cases. So.
Which is insane.
It is insane. You should probably trust a doctor. But look into, especially if we're able to write.
That's why they go on WebMD and to self-diagnose themselves. All right, Doc.
WebMD.
Doc, here's what's wrong with me. Please confirm.
So look into writing. Writing in multiple ways. Articles, blogs, books. There's a lot of different ways that you can write. If you don't feel like you're a good writer, write something out, and you can get, like Odesk has copy editors, people that can read your stuff and give you some feedback, or even the community might give you feedback.
The community will give you feedback. Great place to get that feedback, on your blog. And through social media. And I think that one of the self-publishing has become so much easier now, right? So you think, oh, I don't know, how am I going to get a book deal or any of these kinds of things? And, one, book deals are overrated. They're not that glamorous. And 2, just self-publish it, right? If you're able to consistently publish on your blog, go out to Amazon or, one of the other self-publishing sites and read up on how to do it. It's not that hard.
There's a lot of places you can do that.
I actually know people who have taken things from their blog, repackaged them, added some value, right? But, basically taken a year and a half's worth of a theme of posts and turned it into like a 60-page ebook and sold it for $1.99 or $1 on Amazon and made a few $1,000s on it, right? I mean, it made me start going back to my blog and going, do I have anything here I can package?
I got $1,000 worth of blogs.
So I think Devin said it really well, right? Put yourself out there, take a step. And if you have questions on how to do that, put them in the comments. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, I'll ask you on some other ideas here too in a moment, so start thinking about those. But last one I have for you is, again, being active on social media. Social media is so huge now, right? I think that's not a surprise to you guys, but being active, creating things even through social media like video content. We're doing video here. It's a huge thing to make video content. YouTube is the second most searched search engine right after Google.
Yep.
So the more things you can put out there is huge. It'll get you a lot of relevance in an industry. So anything else that you can think of?
I like to build my brand pretty much through Snapchat.
Oh, okay.
That's not true.
Not Tinder, right? I think you meant to say Tinder.
It's not Tinder. It's not Tinder. I told you that in confidence. No, I think we hit a lot of good things there, right? But I think you also have to think about which social media is going to be the best for you, right? Yeah. Because there are people who, if you just take the major ones, right? We have Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, Snapchat. Am I missing something?
Probably. I'm sure there's some others out there.
That's 7.
There'll be 3 new ones by the time we...
There will be 3 new ones by the time we release this, right? So, for a lot of professionals, don't overlook LinkedIn. There's a lot of conversations that are happening on LinkedIn. Some people choose to keep Facebook as their sort of personal, family group. Some people, kind of let everybody professionally in. I think Twitter's a hard place to have a conversation because 140 characters, right? But it's a great place to start a conversation.
Now, you've had some interesting things out at LinkedIn about writing posts for LinkedIn even, right?
Yeah, you can actually blog on LinkedIn. So if you get to a point where you're like, I don't want to set up a website and, go through all that, LinkedIn has its own blogging engine. You don't have to set anything up. You just go over and click Write New Post, type your posts, have it edited. You can save it as a draft until you're ready, and then release it. They do have a couple things that I'm not in love with. You can't schedule them. Oh. So from an automation perspective, if I wanted to come every Tuesday morning, for example, I have to log in and hit publish, which is, not the end of the world, but if you're trying to get to a rhythm, it can be a little bit of a problem. But it is a really powerful medium for people to use because it goes right out to your LinkedIn connections and gets in the feed of their news network called Pulse, which is, there's a lot of really good content out there.
And if you don't want to do LinkedIn, there's a lot of other great ones out there like WordPress.
Blogger, there's a bunch of them, yeah.
All right, so last piece here then is talking about how do you maintain that brand once you've gotten it?
Yes.
And a lot of this will have to do around things we've already talked about.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to bring up again.
Yes.
Yeah, but actually doing it is a big thing. So we talked about being consistent. That is huge.
Yes, it is.
If you are not consistent, then your brand, it'll trash your brand.
Yes.
People are, once you've kind of built that up, people are going to be looking to you for new information, new things that have come out. And if you're not providing that, they'll go find it somewhere else, right? So being consistent is a huge thing. We talked about blogging a lot.
Yep.
One of the things that you can do, even if it's someone else that's writing, is you can have someone kind of guest write on your blog.
Yeah. So that's a great way.
It could be someone that they're trying to build their own brand.
Right.
Now that you've kind of gotten a decent brand, you can have someone else post on it. Give them credit, of course.
Yeah.
But it continues to build more content, more reasons for people to come back to your blog. Great way to do that, more inventive.
Well, and guest blogging is great. Even for people who are both trying to get their brands off the ground, right? Because, you may have a small network individually, but combined, you have a little bit larger network. Yeah. And so you can help each other and say, hey, listen, Devin wrote a great post for my blog. Go check it out. I'm glad he's working with me, and vice versa. And, as you're doing that, one, you're building relationships, but you're also showing your community that you're trying to have an inclusive message, right? Which is, it's not just my opinion. I want to know what other people have to say about this, and I want it to, come to my network, whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it's on my own site or social media, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's great.
And then the last thing here to kind of maintain your brand is evaluate your brand.
Yeah.
So actually go use like Google and search yourself, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's done that at some point, but maybe they're not doing it from the perspective of trying to evaluate their brand. So, is there another Adam Jorgensen, by the way? Have you ever Googled?
Oh, there are.
Yeah.
There is actually an Adam Jorgensen who is a championship swimmer.
Really? You know?
Yes.
Do you know what the other Devonite is? Have I told you this before?
I don't remember.
He's a child's magician. So he's an older man, but he's a magician that he goes and he has books. So I see him on Amazon and he has his own website and things like that.
Nice.
That's the reason, by the way, my Twitter handle is so terrible, is because there's already a Devonite.
Oh.
That's Knight_Devin, unfortunately, for my Twitter handle.
Boy.
But
yeah, you gotta keep an eye on it. You know, I mean, you have to. The other reason to do that is, and it's easy to do, like Google alerts, for example, right? So it'll just send them right to your inbox. But the other reason, if let's say somebody doesn't like what you had to say, and they're online going, this Devin Knight is no magician, right? He's terrible, right? You want to know that.
I hired him for my kids' party. All I needed was show Power BI reports.
Right, exactly. These kids were not entertained. You know, as that happens, you know, you want the good and the bad and, you know, the feedback. And things like Google Analytics are easy and cheap or free to get plugged into your blog if you're using something like WordPress. And, you know, there's lots of ways to do it. And so, you know, I'd love to hear from the audience, you know, what are they doing with their brand, right? What are things they've struggled with, right? I know everybody struggles with consistency, so I expect to see that a lot. You know, but, you know, what are you guys struggling with?
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So if you could, post back to us in our comment section. Let us know what you think. What are some of the things that we didn't mention that you are doing that might be a really creative way? You know, we talked about maybe automating some of these things. That might be a later post or later podcast we can talk more about.
Yeah, if you guys would like to hear more about automating and some of the tools we use, you know, let us know. We'll do a show on that.
Yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed This Week in Data. Remember to go ahead and follow us at blogs.pragmaticworks.com. You can keep up with all of our episodes, and you can also follow other great material that we post as well.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thanks.